and then they dropped out. And Clint Eastwood was like, "That's fine. I'll do everything that I was going to do with the impersonator here, but I'll do it to this chair."
I've been doing this
Now
for
that
50 years. I can talk to an empty chair, God damn it.
that of course probably isn't true, but I still like to think about it as a possibility.
Paul
Uh,
Goody.
hey Ben Lawrence, how's it going?
Good. I was actually I made one last. We're doing a two for today, so I made one
Yep.
last mad dash to the restroom. But
Yeah.
here's the
Hey.
thing: I have
Yeah.
my earpods in, right? And so
Hmm.
I was going to the bathroom, and then I hear you say, "Hey, I'm doing my podcast with Ben." It's like
Oh,
you were in
okay.
the room with me.
It's like when your dog follows you in. Apparently,
Exactly.
according to my wife, scientists have determined that the reason your animals follow you into the bathroom is because they like you and want to spend time with you. And now you're over here, so they're just going
Exactly.
over here.
Yep.
Um, so
And
I
so,
forgot that there was a twofer, but that's fine.
oh,
Yeah, I don't have anything planned for afterwards. Although I will say this, my kid has a 3DS that is broken.
okay.
This is, of course, Betty. Betty is looking for a replacement 3DS and wanted to do that today. So we went out looking for the first, leg of this, and then Jennifer had to bring me back for the podcast, and then they went out again to look.
Ah, so
So
they're
I
looking,
might be getting a call at some point in time on my phone. I'm going to take it out here
saying, "Hey, we need to
for
buy this new
saying, "Hey, we
3DS."
need money for this 3DS."
Yeah.
The first place we went. Are you familiar with Slackers?
The
Do
movie?
they have those in Seattle? Well, I guess not. It's a retail store. Um, it's a
No.
resell it retail store. Slackers. Trying to figure out. This is my new shirt,
Very nice. It's
and
a like a
yeah,
beige tan button up collared shirt with
I used
some
to have a
piping
shirt like
designs.
this before. Jennifer got me these for Christmas, and I like them. These are larges. I feel like I'm actually too heavy for the larges now. I can't figure out if it fits right or not.
Are you? Is it?
Does it look okay?
That
Is
looks
it?
fine from here. I mean, it doesn't look like you're swimming in it.
How much? Can you
I
hear this,
actually
ladies and gentlemen? How long it takes me to like just rip a compliment about my new shirt from Ben? It's I have to play on my own insecurities, and this
I
is, of course,
don't like tight clothing. I prefer loose clothing. So I'm not the one to
on
ask if
on
something
me or
fits
just
right.
anybody.
Just
That's
on you, Paul. I don't want to see your
I
curves, man.
I hate it. I hate it when you flounce around. Actually, let me ask you a question. If I
Yeah,
were flouncing
flounder.
around, I'd probably be in baggy clothing rather than flouncing seems to indicate that you are using the material that you're in as part of your thing. None of this matters. I do my best.
Nothing
See,
really
this is the
matters.
thing, ladies and gentlemen. Ben Lawrence is a very stand up, very good human being. And as Jennifer has noted, uh, I some of my sense of humor is unfortunately sadistic in nature. And so one of the things that you'll notice on this podcast, it doesn't happen a lot, but it sometimes comes out where I try to cast Ben in the light like he's an evil person. It's very difficult to
Yeah.
do. I do it every once in a while, and it's one of the things, Ben. And I want you to know this. It truly is. It's one of those things where after I do it, I feel horrible. I'm
Oh,
like, why
good.
did I do that? Why did I suggest that Ben was fat shaming me or saying that I don't look good?
Because
Because you
it's
weren't,
an easy
and you
joke.
haven't. Yeah, exactly. Um, and we don't have an editor, uh, except for Ben, who
And I don't
does
edit the show.
as little editing as possible. So we can't say, "Hey, cut
None
that." We
whatsoever.
just have to live with what existed, what has happened, and
There's
it's fine.
actually I do I feel like if it's worth it I will do some editing. I don't edit for content, but last week's episode I did
Oh no!
edit into the show your
Oh, edit into
aborted
the show. Okay,
calling
that's fine.
into the show from the week prior. Not at the
Yeah.
very end, but actually in the very beginning when you mention it. So if people
Oh,
listen to
okay.
the podcast like on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, in the beginning where I say you should splice this in, you actually
Yeah,
spliced it in where I was talking
I
about it?
cut it in where we were talking about it, and not at the very end. I didn't make the poor people wait until the very end of the show to listen to you when it dawns on you that, oh, maybe we're not actually recording the show today.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking about putting it near the beginning, but then I thought if we put it at the very like at the very beginning, I mean, if we had put it at the
Yeah.
very beginning, then people might have gone, well, I guess there's no show, and
Oh,
then
they're not
stopped
doing the show
listening.
yet.
So
And then
yeah,
why is
exactly.
this? Is it just an hour of nothingness?
That is
That's.
something
I
I
think this could be
personally
our show.
would.
An hour of
Yeah,
nothingness.
hour of. Oh, Ben, people are gonna say, how did Hour of Nothingness get its name? Ben,
It's a
do we
little.
need to rebrand?
It's a
Is it
little
too
too
late?
close. It's a little too close to the Seinfeld show about nothing. I feel.
Uh, I don't know. Oh man, speaking of which, Armin Shimmerman, is that his name? The guy who played Quark on Deep Space
Oh
Nine.
yeah, I don't. I don't know. Armin sounds right. I don't
There,
remember the last name.
there's an interview with him that made the rounds a little bit on the social medias where he talks about how he hated being on set for Seinfeld. Uh, More specifically, I'm being nice. He said that he hated the cast of Seinfeld
He
because they
hated
treated
the.
him as a day player badly.
Ah.
No one talked to him. He was, called to set when it was time for him to do stuff, and then after that,
Yeah.
they
It's
just sort of ignored him.
I'm not gonna excuse somebody's bad behavior, but I can only assume that when you're a machine like Seinfeld, you have a day player every week, you have like a stable of day players every week, then you there may come a time when you're just like it's too much energy to make friends with everybody. Unless you're
Now,
like Tom Hanks or Henry Winkler.
there are two different shows that I think might be sort of the anti-Seinfeld, or opposed to Seinfeld in some ways, and I don't watch either of them. But I think that if I would enjoy them, and I think that you might be familiar with them more than I am. I'm not positive about this,
What shows are they?
but one is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I've
It's
never
a
seen it.
show again about friends who are hanging out.
Yeah, I know of the
You
show,
know,
of course, but I've never. I think I've watched maybe
I've
one or two
seen
episodes.
I've seen clips of it, and the
Yeah,
clips that I've seen I've liked. So there's that as a possibility, because it's still, they're not necessarily great people, you know, of good character necessarily, um, but it seems like I would like it more. And then of course the Curb Your Enthusiasm thing, and the
right.
reason is because I think Larry David seems to be a little bit more honest about being a bad person.
Interesting that you call that an anti-Seinfeld show, seeing as how he is one of the co-creators of Seinfeld.
That's what I mean. It's like this is what it really should
Yeah,
be, that sort of thing. Because in Seinfeld, even though they are, not the greatest people, they are still kind of the heroes. Whereas I think Larry
right.
David is very
Paints
okay with
himself
being,
very much as the
yeah.
anti. I don't know if you'd call him an anti-hero either. Just he's basically just a straight up
I mean, he is
terrible
still the
person.
protagonist, but
Yeah,
yeah.
he's the lead character.
Oh, speaking of the protagonist, you know what I want to watch again?
The protagonist.
Tenant.
Oh,
Did I talk about? I think I talked about Tenet the last time too.
we
I think
probably
I
did.
really I just saw another clip from it again. I was like, yeah, I like that show. I think I want to see it. But the reason I was thinking about Larry David, that show where they go down and they look at your family tree, that whole thing.
Yeah,
With Skip, I think his name is. I think that's
yeah.
his name. Um,
Henry
yeah.
Gates. Henry Louis
Henry
Gates.
Skip Gates.
Henry Louis Gates Jr.
Does he go
Henry
by the
Skip
name
Louis
Skip at
Gates.
all?
He's got a
Okay.
nickname. I don't remember if it's Skip or not, but yeah, I know who you're talking
Okay.
about.
So he was sitting down with Larry David, and Larry David found out that his family owned slaves,
Okay.
and he said when he found out, he looked at Henry Louis Gates Jr. and said sorry, which was a very Larry David thing to do. And it
Right.
was, but the thing is, it was genuine, and you kind of get the idea of like that was his genuine reaction. It wasn't a bit that he thought up. This is just the thing that came out of his mouth when he found out. And I found from that, I I want to say that it contrasted with two other times that I've heard about it. One is, and I believe I'm going to look it up before I say it, just to make sure that I have it right. While I'm looking it up, the other one was Ben Affleck, who I think tried to get the show not to air the episode.
Because
I
he
don't know if
was
he
like
succeeded or
embarrassed
not.
or
Yeah,
ashamed of his
yeah,
family owning slaves. I mean, how we're almost, so many families have, if you go back far enough, we're, slave owners.
yeah. So,
Just like my grandfather, who was big into
yeah.
genealogy, liked to say that, our relatives came over in the Mayflower. Well, like at this point, whose didn't?
So John Cheadle, Don Cheadle
John Teetle.
found out that his ancestors were slaves that were purchased by Native Americans,
Interesting.
and it was one of these weird things where after you know slaves were freed in that area, the slaves of the Native Americans weren't at first.
Hmm.
They weren't, and then they were, but they weren't accepted as part of that nation. So they were. It was a weird situation where they were without any sort of official status in the United States
They weren't
because
considered. Well, they weren't. They were. I don't know
they
this
weren't
story.
considered freed American slaves. They also weren't considered part of
Part of the
the
tribe.
people, the
Yeah.
nation of the people that had purchased them. It's really, of course,
Sort of in a
then once
limbo.
again, absolutely not our place to say anything about it, other than I saw it on TV and it was like, wow, that's crazy. And he had a similar reaction. Like he was like, and it makes me wonder, do they give you a heads up before the cameras start rolling, or are you
I would
really surprised on camera?
I would guess it's better TV if they don't give you a heads up.
Yeah. And
I've
the
never
reason I
actually
think that
watched
is
one of
that
those shows.
I really think that Ben Affleck trying to get let me look that up too, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. Ben Affleck, I'm gonna look up. Normally we don't look stuff up on this,
We keep it wrong.
but when it comes to sensitive topics, Ben and I are starting to err on the side of actually looking stuff up in case.
I was gonna say err on the side of not looking like fools, but when have we ever done that?
Yeah, so finding your roots.
Finding your roots. That's the name
Uh,
of the show.
so uh, yeah, so it's he had asked the team behind the PBS program Find Your Roots not to include his ancestor in an episode about his family tree.
His slave owning
Uh,
ancestor.
he
Were you talking about
expressed,
Ben
yeah,
Affleck? Okay.
he expressed hesitation to comply with Affleck's wishes, and eventually he wasn't mentioned. However, he told the
Oh,
Associated
rich
Press the
white man got
reason
his
that
way.
the ancestor was omitted was because in researching Affleck's family, he and his team found that other people had made for a better narrative.
Okay.
But
Sure.
he did come forward and say who it was. Affleck did. So it wasn't in the episode, but Ben Affleck then revealed who it was. I'm wondering if it's the Streisand effect. In this case, I don't think so. Uh, I think if it had been in the episode, people would have talked about it more than it not being in the episode. And
I don't know. It just feels like when you're talking, when Skip Gates is talking to a white person on that show, ultimately they're gonna have slave owner ancestors. Like how
Yeah, I
unique is
mean,
that going to be? You already mentioned the Larry David one.
for me specifically, I don't know about in the United States. The reason I mentioned that is that so my ancestors, um, and I just looked into this because we were talking. Jennifer and I were talking about if you have Irish ancestry right now, they're looking for people because Ireland is losing a lot of their population, and I do not qualify personally. Not that I would, even if I did, because I love the United States of America, Ben, and I am happy to be here.
I'd move to Ireland. I'm not Irish.
Uh, I would visit Ireland, and if anyone from Ireland's listening, hey, hook me up. But the thing is that Ireland, and then when I'm there, we'll see what happens. No,
We'll
but
see
here's
how
the
fast
thing.
they kick me
I,
out.
yeah, exactly. I really don't think that that I necessarily would have problems in Ireland. But the thing that I did find out is that my ancestors are not from Ireland enough, if that makes sense. So they were from Ireland. They came over to the United States, but I would have to have if I understand this correctly, my father, my biological father, that's the other thing. I'm adopted, right? So that gets all crazy. But my
Right.
biological father would have had to become an Irish citizen after his dad would have had to become an Irish citizen because his dad was born in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
To an Irish mother, if I remember correctly. And so, in order for him, so his dad would have had to, so his, sorry,
Where are we going with
his,
this, Paul?
my grandfather could have claimed Irish heritage from his parent. And then my dad would have had to have claimed Irish heritage from that. And then I would be able to claim Irish heritage
So
finally.
I don't know this story. So Ireland feels that their population is declining, so they want to invite people to move back there who are either of full Irish descent or have proper citizenship.
So basically, the idea is this, and I'm not saying that the reason I want to make sure that this is clear. Their population is declining. That is happening. In addition, if you are of Irish heritage, you can become an Irish citizen
They'll just say, "Come on
if you
over."
meet certain criteria. Exactly.
Do they? Well, so
So
here's the
if
thing: they want you to move there. That's the point.
well, they you I and
Or
I
do
know
they
that
just
I'm
want people to claim
equivocating.
their Irish citizenship
I know
and live
I know that
anywhere?
I know that I'm equivocating here. You are welcome to claim your Irish citizenship and live in Ireland. This is like this is the problem that I ran into whenever I was interviewing Crispin Glover, and I said, "So when you called me," he said, "Well, I called you back. You called me first." It
Yeah,
was very important to him. In the
yeah.
same way, it's not Ireland saying, and I might have made it sound like this. It's not Ireland saying, "Hey, we're low on population. Please come over." Two different things. Jennifer is noting that Jennifer noted to me that Ireland was losing population. That's number one. And then number two, if you're of Irish descent, you can automatically claim Irish citizenship, but it only
Otherwise,
goes
it's
back
a
so far.
terrible process and lots of paperwork, and
Well,
they
probably, yeah.
generally don't want you to do it.
Uh, I I also so I was like, okay, well, what about other places? Poland has a very invasive bunch of questions if you're interested in doing that, like your ethnic heritage. Are you Jewish? I think it helps if you are,
When was the last time
but
you had nasty thoughts?
um, and then of course and it's just you and me here, Ben. Probably other people are
It is
listening
only
too,
just you and me.
but I will say this. So I also have some Scottish heritage, and then Lithuania.
Right.
The issue with Lithuania is that I heard a story about my grandfather, who, by the way, it turns out not to be my grandfather. So that's a little crazy. Having problems when he went to Lithuania trying to get back into the country. I mean, back
Back into
into
the
the United,
States.
like getting, yeah, exactly. Like they wouldn't let him leave. And it was told like as this story, and they said it was because he sold Bibles when the Russians were there, but why would they care if he did that while the Russians were there since they're in Lithuania now? And so I've decided not to look into that any further at this time. But
You look too
maybe,
deeply into history, you're gonna find something you don't want to find.
exactly, maybe another fun thing for the after podcast that our Patreon subscribers don't exist.
That would be a good perk,
Uh,
though. The Paul and Ben's conversation for the 5 minutes after the show ends.
yeah, I
It's a
and here's the
bonus.
thing, Ben. I don't talk about work, but if I don't end up working, um, for whatever reason, uh,
We're setting up
if
a
you ever see
Patreon.
if you ever see Ben and I set up a Patreon, something has gone wrong for me.
Yeah.
Uh, because I'll have time maybe to do stuff. Hey, look, it's minute 23, Ben, and
Of
I've already talked about not
120.
talking about work. Where do we go from here? No. Hey, let's talk about something that I haven't talked about in a while.
What's that?
Um, the AI stuff that's out there right now.
It's been at least 2 weeks. I don't think we talked about
So
AI last week,
there's
but we did the week
there's a
before.
group that are you familiar with Teenage Engineering, the company, Ben?
No. Teenage
Okay, they make
engineering.
yeah, they make uh
Teenagers.
no, synthesizer stuff. These cool little synthesizers. They have like, an interesting form factor. They look retro, etc. Lots of dials and, things like that. So a synthesizer that maybe looks like a walkie-talkie, sort of, or whatever. They
But they're
have
bringing
made
physical dials and knobs back.
yep, exactly. Minimalistic uh, design. They have made an AI assistant called Rabbit
Okay.
that is $200. There is no subscription. Once you have it, it is
You own
yours,
it.
and
Are
that's
you
it.
sure?
Well, it seems like it. Now, the one thing is that you do have to get internet connectivity for it. So Wi-Fi or probably a cell phone plan if you want to use it
Yeah.
remotely. So, I mean, there is that. And you already have phones, so that's something. But it's sort of like a dumb phone version of an AI assistant. From what I can tell, it has like a button that you push to ask questions, and then it answers,
It's not
which I
voice
love.
activated? Come on.
It could be voice activated. I'm not sure. But the one thing I was going to say is that Chat GPT, right, uh, is like,
ChatGPT.
I believe, the big evil when people talk about AI, simply because of the copyright thing. And speaking of which, Ben got to guess the news. Someone associated with ChatGPT said that it is impossible, or something to the effect of, it is impossible to work in this field without blank. What is the thing that you can't work in this field without doing
Can't work in this field
or,
without stealing
or having?
content.
Yes, you cannot work in the field of AI research without having some copywritten material make its way into your data set. Now, I think you and I probably searched the audio, ladies and gentlemen. You and I probably already talked about this, and that is that I wrote back when I was still under the haze of loving everything, and wasn't talked into thinking about human beings and their lives
By
by my
the
kid,
human being that you co-created.
that that it is impossible to pay people what they would need to
Right.
for training data because it would be prohibitively expensive.
The money does not exist.
And unironically, I said it's kind of like a class action lawsuit. How no matter how much you win, you're only going to get $1 or something. It would be like that. Now, now the fact that I compared the people whose content was used for training sets to people who would be involved in a class action lawsuit as defendants. I mean, not defendants, as plaintiffs, should have keyed me into, well, maybe the activity that's happening here isn't moral.
Right.
But I didn't really figure that out. Um, oh, I'm going
Edward.
to I'm gonna text. I hear that Jennifer got home, so
Ah.
I'm gonna text her and say,
Did they find a new 3DS? A 3DS?
did you find one? Find one?
I don't know if you can
Question
hear
mark.
the space heater I have running at my feet. It's cold here, and my
It's
apartment.
cold here too,
It's gonna get
but
colder, and I got an email from my leasing office saying, "Hey, help us keep the pipes from freezing here.
oh,
Keep
I
your
just got the same thing.
keep from my
Not from
apartment
yours.
complex.
Yeah,
Keep
exactly.
keep your heat on. Open up the door, the cabinet underneath your sink. Keep a steady drip out of your faucets to keep the pipes from freezing. They're very concerned, but it's weird. I don't want to like have my heat on when I'm not home. I just feel weird about that, and not because I'm like,
Oh,
oh, they want me to spend money because the power company and the water company get all that cash. Um, yeah, I'm old school. I don't
I'm
want
always
stuff
home.
to be on when I'm not here.
That's part of it, I think. Me always being home. Me
You
always being
never
home.
leave.
Um,
You're
yeah.
trapped. Blink twice if you need to clear something out of your eyes.
Oh God. So so the main thing is that and the people that I'm on the indie game thing with are talking about how Chat GPT is bad. It is, right? But similar to Amazon, it's one of those things that's going to be bad and also ubiquitous, I
Yeah.
think. Because and the thing about how it doesn't really think, it's just a word completion thing. It just
And it's
completes
also
words.
just one large language model, right? There's going to be others that pop up.
Yeah.
And
The
perhaps
thing
ChatGPT is going to be the MySpace of large language models.
I don't think so though. I think they're doing the right.
Something else is going to come along. Well, I mean, back in what 2005, we thought MySpace
Yeah.
was doing the right thing.
I mean, I think that Midjourney, this is just my opinion. I've used both. Midjourney back in did okay, here's my question. Was I doing Midjourney back in September of this year or September of 2022?
By this year, you mean 2023 because we are in
Yeah.
2024 at the
Sorry,
moment.
yes.
I don't know your timeline. I'm sorry.
I think it was of this year. So I think that it's been, not that long ago that I was doing that. But it does move fast.
So
And
only
I don't
three
know.
months? You only had 3 months with Midjourney?
I think so, yeah. I stopped. Wait a second. How did you know? Where did you get 3 months from?
September of 2023, and you stopped. You stopped before September 2023.
Okay, there we go. Then it was September of 2022.
So it was
So it's been like a year.
a year.
So I'm sure it's
Because if
gotten
you
better since then.
started in 2023, that means you only did it for 3 months, maybe less, depending on when Betty asked you to stop, which I'm
Well,
pretty
I
sure
did
was
only do it.
before December.
I did only do it for 3 months, but I think or less.
3 months.
but
So September to December 2022.
it couldn't have been. Oh, you know what I can do? I know exactly. I can go into my
Oh, Jesus.
photos
Because
and
this
I can
is an
see
important, very important point.
it. Ben, it is so important. You know how important it is. Go into
So important you
photos.
can't think of anything else.
Um, I'm going to. Oh, hey, did you do an Apple update by the way recently?
Uh, are you talking about the phone update?
Yeah.
And by recently, how recently do you mean?
Um, like this morning.
This morning? No, I have not updated since this morning. Did something
Okay, so
come
I'm
out? Is there a new Trojan that
there's
injects
a
itself into iOS?
so oh weird adjust date and time.
iOSca?
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So Ben, here we go. It was a year ago. Wow, how time flies. Uh, yeah, so September of 2022 to December of 2022. So imagine how much better it is, Ben, these days.
Hold up, hold
Most
up.
likely,
I,
great.
I'm trying to imagine it.
Uh, oh, you can't.
No, you told me to.
It's illegal.
I'm imagining all
You
the
can't
stolen
imagine
content.
anything. And yeah.
All the
And
copyrighted material that's in my brain right now.
this is still the thing that I still maintain this idea that an image, the final image made with this stuff, is not copyright infringement. Copyright infringement comes from the training of the data sets, and that's the hard part, right? Does it make sense though? Do you
Well,
understand
you're saying
where
that the
the
training of the dataset doesn't influence the output.
no, no, I do think that it influences the output. I mean, you're teaching it how to do things, right? Um, and then and so the thing that it the reason that the training data is where the copyright infringement comes from is that you are training it on material that people have produced, and they did not produce it for you to use it as training
Right,
material.
but I'm sure the defenders of the using the copyrighted data to train kind of likens the AI to like an art student who is influenced by
Uh-huh.
a bunch of old artists and uses those influences to create a brand new thing
Well,
and
and
sells
here's the
that
thing.
painting.
That what you just said, absolutely 100% why the final product would not be put under copyright. That is exactly right.
Yeah,
You've got that.
but you can't.
But but the training data, right, is like I buy a streetcar named Desire from Samuel French, right? And then I copy all the pages and then I give it to my actors. And I say, okay, here you go. The performance that they do of a streetcar named Desire is their own performance. They aren't doing somebody else's performance. It's their interpretation of the words. They're doing all the acting, right? It's an original production, but you still committed copyright infringement when you didn't pay for the script. That's kind of what we're talking about. That you're using materials that are under copyright that you didn't have permission to use in the way that you use them.
And this is just, I mean, I would be surprised if we never stopped talking about this.
Oh yeah, I mean we already don't stop talking about how Disney, copyrights Cinderella, for
Yeah.
instance, and it's just their version of Cinderella, but that sort of thing.
So,
That's something that we never stop talking about.
yeah, it's so many lawyers are going to make so much
Yep.
money arguing about what constitutes copyright infringement when AI is involved.
I still think that what's going to
It's a
happen
whole
is that
industry.
someone is going to, there's going to be a standard for AI that shows up and says you have to do this, this, and this. And then someone is going to sue a human artist because they do the same thing that the AI does. I think it's going to happen eventually. Like they're going to prove I ran this through the checker that they run through to see where the influences came from, and this is
Right.
80%. This guy
It's
from
gonna
Brooklyn.
be 23andMe for original art.
Exactly, man. So fun times. Anyway, but the big thing is, of course, Chat GPT um, produces okay looking art, right? But the thing that you can do with Midjourney, I don't know if Midjourney is still this way or not, but a thing that you could do with Midjourney that you can't do with Chat GPT is take two photos and say create a photo that's, oh look, balloons.
Yeah.
I did this. I don't know why that made balloons happen. You take two photos. Hey, I'm just trying to see now.
My
You
there's not enough contrast
is
in
it
mine.
this?
There we go. Look at that. Thumbs up.
Hey, you take. So the big thing is that you as a person can take this photograph of you and a photograph of a
Pictures of
drain,
You by The Cure.
and you can say, "Hey, make a photograph that looks like the combination between me and this drain."
Right.
Right?
Which is
This is
something
with
you were
Midjourney,
quite fond of doing.
and you can even then put it like make an image of a prisoner escaping a tunnel, and it would use like the lighting from the picture and all that to do it, and it probably still does that. It probably is something that you can still do with Midjourney. If you try to do that with ChatGPT, it will tell you, I can't use real pictures. You can describe something to me, and I could do it, but I can't actually use real people in my images that I generate.
You've tried.
So I of course, yeah, I try to break everything that I can. Um, what you can do is you can say describe this picture, and it'll describe the picture, and then you will say generate an image based on this description, and it will make a picture. And it is different. It's going to be totally different than the other picture, but it'll still have feels of the old picture.
I can't remember what I saw. I can't remember if it was Chat GPT or some other AI image generator, but whoever was doing this seemed a little surprised, maybe put off that they described a scene from the movie Dune, and let's just say ChatGPT created the scene almost pixel for pixel, right? I don't know if it was like without like looking at the original shot, but it was
Mm.
like here. So this was like an alarmist post. So like this is getting so close to recreating already established recreating, maybe because it watched Dune, I don't know, but it's just a little advancement into how well this is working, and how much we are going to be surprised when we see something that's AI generated and we won't know.
Yeah. So let me ask you, are you so it was definitely Dune. It was definitely the movie Dune.
The new Dune, the Timothy Chalamet,
Okay.
Denis Villeneuve directed.
So yeah, I'd be interested to see that because one of the things I will tell you is you remember I think we've talked about this, the woman with the green eyes, uh
Yeah, the Afghan woman.
that Afghan woman with green eyes. Yeah, if you typed in Afghan woman green eyes, that picture would not show up, but a picture very similar to that picture
Yeah,
would.
because that's what it looks like when you ask for, that's what it looks like when an Afghani woman has green eyes.
It was well, and but I mean to the point where a human looking at that picture would go, well, that's the same picture, right?
Yeah.
But a person like me, who is, yes, human, but also, obsessive, I would look at that picture and go, well, she's actually faced slightly to this way, and her scarf is red instead of green, and it is a what I can say is it's an alternate universe of that picture, taken from a different angle with a different camera, but still the same lighting and everything like that. But the cloth is shaped differently. She's looking in a different way. Her nose is a little bit different, et cetera, et
AI
cetera, et cetera.
generated images are just windows into alternate dimensions.
And the reason is that that picture is so famous and so, ubiquitous with Afghan women that the weights for that image are such that any picture, at least Mid Journey at that time, any picture you ask it to make a picture of an Afghan woman, if you said make an Afghan woman, riding a whale, it would be that person on a whale.
Right.
The images are not it's not a shot for shot image. It's not anything that you know how do I describe it? It is the same image, like in your memory. If you saw it, you're like, yes, that's the image. Your brain would say, yes, that's the image. And it's not until you see the two side by side that you're like, oh, okay. Pixel for pixel, completely different image. But
It's like the back of a highlights magazine. Identify all the differences between these two
exactly,
pictures.
yeah. Or the difference between, like, take a screenshot of me here, right? Like this. This is me.
This is my
And
house.
then you say, and if this is, my most famous picture of Paul Goody, right?
Yeah.
And then you say to a chat GPT or Midjourney, create a picture of Paul Goody holding a dog, and you get this picture. People will say that's the exact same picture. They just put a dog in there, but it's not. I'm now facing this way. Maybe my shirt's a different color, whatever. But the lighting, everything that all the other pieces, right, are so similar. You would think that that picture came from the same photo shoot, even though it's a completely different picture. That's the stuff that I find really interesting. Um,
I mean,
and
how
yeah,
long
someone,
until how long? Because we can sort of identify AI generated art just by the way it looks right now. How long until that's
yeah.
no longer the case?
Well, I mean,
Less
this
than
is
a
one of the
year?
things I used to do with Midjourney. There are images that I ended up able to create with Midjourney that you would not be able to tell, were made with it because it wouldn't look like it, because they're here. I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about. This will be great for the people who cannot see uh, the show right now. What I'm doing is I'm pulling up. This is going to be great content, everybody. I'm pulling up an image on my phone that I am then going to show to Ben through the video chat.
Which always works.
Yeah, yeah. Um.
Hey, Drunk just joined us. He says,
Hey, John.
WTF is that beard Paul got? Looks like he's about to go meet George Washington for brunch.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is
It looks different
this
because the chin part is white.
the chin part is white, but I did have a beard just like that for a little while, and then
Yeah.
the beard part, the chin part grew out. So, drunk, I'm doing this thing where I'm going to show Ben a picture. All right, so here's the fun game, Ben. It's going to be did
AI or
Paul
real?
did Paul draw this himself or is it AI? And
AI
and the
based on
answer,
Paul's drawings?
yeah, AI based on I fed it some of my drawings. And I will tell you, the people listening to this from the copyright board or whatever, I would never lie about whether or not I created something or ad. This isn't going to be, Ben, can you guess? This is going to be, did I draw this or did this come from AI? Okay, so there's this one.
I'm just going to say everything is AI. I don't know. I'm going to say AI did that.
AI did do that, Ben. Well done. Um, what about what about this one?
I'm gonna say, I don't know. I'm gonna say you did that.
I did not. That is AI.
That is AI.
But let me ask you this.
Drunk says he's a
Did
professional at distinguishing AI from human. So he called the
Oh,
first
really?
one. First one is AI. Fingers are off from the first one.
Okay, let's have
The
Drunk
second one
continue.
was the second one was also AI apparently.
Yep, he is correct in both of them.
No, he says the second one was human.
Oh,
All right, that looks like a genuine Paul Goody.
uh, I'll await Drunk's decision as well.
He says AI wouldn't draw such an abstract character. Second one.
Okay.
Oh, maybe I don't know, Drunk. If you got the what we're talking about, this is AI learning how to draw based on Paul's drawings. So, is this a Paul Goody or is this an AI? I'm gonna say it's weird enough. Like the sun is just off that this is an AI. Drunk got the third one right. So what was that one, Paul? Was that you or was that AI?
That was AI.
I'm mad at my raid array. That looks like a genuine Paul Goody as well, but hang on before I make my choice. Lift it up a little bit. Let me see the thing on the bottom. The arms are super long, but also that could be a Paul. I'm gonna say that's a genuine Paul Goody.
And you are correct.
You are correct, sir. Yarg. Pull it back a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna let Drunk take this one. I don't know what number we're on, but this is the Drunk. This is the red and blue one. Drunk says they can't do hands. The hands look kind of weird. The teeth are kind of off here. The eyes are just kind of mixed up. Fifth one is AI clouds too perfect. So I guess this is the sixth one because we are on a bit of a delay. So I have my own opinion on this one, but I'm gonna let Drunk take it. I guess this is the number six. Sixth one, AI teeth don't lie. So I agree. This is AI.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is me. I was using Procreate.
So the sixth one was you.
Yep.
All right, there you have it. Number seven. I don't know. It doesn't look like a genuine Paul Goody, so I'm gonna say AI. Oh, and my watch is telling me to stand up because it must be 10 to the hour. Um, yeah, is it? So is that supposed to be like a horse of some sort? There it looks like there are three back legs. So and maybe the hint of a unicorn horn. I'm not quite sure what's going on. The fence. I mean the fence and the grass kind of look like could be hand drawn. I don't know. I've never used Procreate. Drunk says that's you. That's a human.
Drunk is correct. That is me.
All right.
Okay, we're doing really well. This is fun stuff.
Grass don't lie. That's human. I should have changed the latency on this one because there's about 20 seconds between reality and chat. So, or if I point that way on my screen, that's where the chat is.
Okay, coming up.
Yeah. All right. Pull it back a little bit. I'm gonna say I almost want to say that I've seen that before, so I'm gonna say that's you. That must be number 8.
Number 8 is a ghost looking.
A ghost-looking thing. So, oh, look at that. Brr. That looks a little too textured to be you. I'm just looking on the. Yeah, so do we decide? Drunk says the 8th one, the ghost, is you as well. We didn't
Yep,
hear.
drunk is good with that.
All right.
That's correct.
I'm going to say pull it back a little bit so we can see more detail. All right. I don't know. It looks a little. What's throwing me off is the texture, but again, I don't know. This is number 9. I don't know how you can like texture things in Procreate. It looks a little too like generated.
Not all of these are Procreate. That's the other thing. I'll just let you know.
Gotcha. All right. Trunk says that's AI for sure. If Paul draws that good, he needs to be an artist.
Oh, I am an artist. What do you mean? Okay, so
I think like a paid artist.
yeah, I was a paid artist for a little bit anyway.
AI shadow around the nose is crazy. Was that one AI or was that one you?
Which one? The textured one?
Yeah,
The textured one was AI. That is correct.
figured.
Let's see.
That looks like something Paul would draw. Teeth are good. Hands look good. Yeah. That's number 10. 10 is definitely a genuine Paul Goody. Or if
That is
if it's an AI, it is like very not far removed from an actual Paul Goody drawing.
yes. Okay, now
Crush, don't
now
lie,
I'm
that's
going
human.
I'm going to throw. Let me find it. There's a couple that I want to put into the mix.
I don't think I'm the only one with this. I have these AirPods, and I just can't help but open and close the lid. It is so satisfying.
Opening and closing the lid is satisfying.
Of my AirPods case. 10 is human crotch is off-centered for...
Wait, what
no
is 10? I'm
reason.
sorry.
10 was that last one we just saw. The red bear thing.
Oh, yeah. The red bear is me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be
Drunk, I don't know if you're here for this or if you heard us. We're doing a 2 for today. So this episode is going to end in about 6 minutes, and then we're going to just keep on going into the next week's show. All right, this must be number 11. I'm gonna say the thing in the medallion looks a little, or whatever that is on his chest, looks a little weird. The mouth looks weird. But again, it's very non-symmetrical, which means it might be human. But I'm gonna let Drunk take point on this one. Is that a genuine human Paul Goody drawing or an AI drawing based on Paul Goody's art? The Red Bear is fire, by the way. Sell that too. A clutching company for a sweatshirt design. Clutching company. I think 11 is what we want Drunk to say. I don't really. I want to say it's an AI, but it's also possible. AI is 11 is AI cactus in background. It was the giveaway.
and so
Clothing.
so
A clothing
11.
company. Thank you.
Oh shit. Sorry, 1 second.
Paul, you swore in the podcast, put a nickel in the jar. A nickel. A nickel.
Oh,
Actually, inflation,
sorry,
put a quarter in the jar. I don't know. Just trying to read and talk at the same time. I was
So
wondering if a
that one
clutching
was
company was something I hadn't heard of yet.
the one with the cactus was actually me. I drew that one.
All right.
Okay.
It's just a jailhouse, but it looks kind of like a face.
Now I feel like Drunk is gonna get that one, and I think the reason he's gonna get it is well, you'll see.
All right, put it up on screen again.
Okay.
All right, bring it a little bit more towards me. Oh wow, okay, wrong on the cactus. Bring it back a little bit. Let's see if we can actually read the words that says jail.
So bring it back like towards
you to focus on it a little bit. All right. Okay. I'm gonna say that
this is gonna be great for everybody listening. Sorry, it's really fun for me, Ben and Drunk. Well, I don't know if it's really fun.
Well, we've also spent a lot of time on this.
Okay, this one.
That definitely looks like an AI.
Yeah, I just love that I was able to get that out of the thing. Okay.
All right.
We're reaching Ben the
wrapping up
the ones.
The bars are perfectly extended past the windows. That house face, Paul, was that you or AI?
House face was me.
Okay. Bring it towards your right a little bit. There we go. Almost, it's like a Greedo versus Wolfman, mixed with Wolfman from the Cantina in Star Wars. I'm gonna say that's a Paul Goody. Is that a Paul Goody or is that an AI?
I want to make sure that that he gets a chance to guess before I reveal.
He's fired. He's getting some wrong. I don't blame you. I don't, I'm getting them wrong
this
too.
is the thing is I intentionally made it produce bad images. That was the big thing. And this is the final one. And then I'll stop.
He's gotta go find something to eat. The vodka is getting to his stomach. That's what happens when you drink it. 13 is AI though. That looks like an AI to me. It looks a little too AI generated for my tastes.
Wait, which one was 13?
13 was the previous one. 13 was
the meat guy.
The meat guy. Bring it up again. I don't remember what he looked like. We've gone through many. Yeah, that guy. The one before you wanted to give Drunk a chance to weigh in on one that I said it was you. What was the one right before that?
The jail?
No, not the jail.
The one before the jail or the one before the meat guy?
After the jail, before the meat guy. Wasn't there
after
one?
the jail, before the meat guy? I don't think so.
A memoir by Paul Goody.
No, there wasn't one. Although this one, I will tell you, like I said, the
bark.
The fun part of these, for me, like I said, was to make it sort of fail at making something that because everything had the same sort of feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the AIR generated feel.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, let's push this past the boundaries that it has. So this one.
And we're coming up close to the end of this episode, Paul.
Oh, geez.
Wrap it up.
Hey, this is no fun for anybody except for me. And thanks, everybody, for listening.
We're not continuing this segment into the next week.
Ben is going to screenshot all the images that we've talked about today and put them. I'm kidding.
Going to do that.
I'm kidding. And
if they want to see what we're talking about, they can just click on the video, which is right below this episode.
Oh, it is. Okay, yeah. Click on the video, ladies and gentlemen. That's where you'll see the things, and you'll be so excited.
No, you won't be.
The
You'll at least be
images
able to
will
see
be there
Edward. I mean, Edward is
for
exciting.
you to look at. Yeah, Edward is very cute. He's a good boy. Yes, he is. So anyway, yeah, that was fun for me, Ben. Pushing it past the limits. But it's easy to do when you can provide it with images, right? One of the other things I would like to do would be to draw like a crude image and then say make this into a photograph, and it would do that. It would take
Right.
elements of it, make it
Yeah.
a photograph. You can't do that with the Chat GPT stuff, and the reason you can't do it with it is because it is very conscious of not doing copyright infringement. So it does not know where these images came from, right? When
Right.
you give them to them and say, "Hey, use this as the basis of this," um, and I'm using my stuff mostly, uh, and then also words to try to push it in a certain direction. But there's nothing that would stop someone else from using a different artist. So I get it. In fact, there
And
are people that have trained things on
with
other
that,
artists.
episode 411 is coming to a close. Paul.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us, and sorry for being me. Getting you, it is fun because you did get to see me get obsessed with something, which Ben has sat through many a time.
For the last 20 years.
Yeah. So thanks everybody, and have a good one.
And
Have
we'll,
a good one. How does it
or,
happening?
have two if you want.
Yeah, have two. They're small. Keep it wrong.
Keep it wrong, Paul. I'll talk to you in just a sec.
Talk to you in just a sec.
And we're not clear, we're still rolling. But, Paul Goody.
And Lawrence, how's it going?
Good. This is episode 412. This
Episode
is
412.
412. This episode is going to go live on January 22nd.
January 22nd. A scant 9 days before the last day of the month, which
Yeah.
is significant to some people, much like the speedometer rolling over in one's car,
Yeah. Oh,
I think. This is Edward the dog, for those on the video feed. He is very small.
tiny.
My
He's
hands are
wee.
not large. My hands are slim for a 50-year-old man. But look at
50
how
years
big
old.
my hand is compared to
You can
Edward's
palm
head.
his head like a basketball.
Exactly. I could palm his head like
Like a tennis ball.
Julius Irving could palm a basketball.
Dr. J.
Now it's Dr. Chapstick.
Please, Julius is my... Dr. Irving was my father, but call me Julius.
I still can't believe that commercial existed, and I also can't believe that I can't find a clip of it anywhere.
Maybe you imagined it and it doesn't exist.
I really don't think so. I remember because in earnest, hey everybody, this is Paul Goody. I was diagnosed with autism at one point in time, so this story is going to explain a little bit of it. Illustrate a little bit of it. My brother was talking about Dr. J, and I don't think I cried, but I was very frustrated because I said that it wasn't Dr. J. Now it was Dr. Chapstick, and I knew it because I saw it on TV. Because there was a commercial where this kid says Dr. J, and he says, "Now it's Dr. Chapstick," and then he gives
That...
the
I mean,
kid a
I
chapstick.
don't remember that commercial, but it sounds like a commercial from the late 70s / early 80s.
Yep. So there was a very similar kind of thing. Oh, I remember. There was a Saturday Night Live sketch that one might have seen where this guy shot buckwheat.
In the Eddie
Buckwheat
Murphy
is
era of Saturday Night
the
Live?
yeah, and it was the Eddie Murphy version of buckwheat, and I swore to them up and down that this was the real news because there was a guy who was sitting behind a desk, and they tried to explain to me that it was a satirical take, And Ben, I believe this is where my interest in comedy really came from because I was bound and determined to find out why things were jokes. Because to me, jokes were just lying, and people thought it was cool.
And
And
funny. They
oh my
laughed
gosh,
when we shot buckwheat.
saying this out loud, I finally understand why my wife doesn't understand why I think that lying is funny. It's because I don't understand. I Oh my gosh, this is a breakthrough. I have to I'll remember. I'll tell her afterwards. But
That'll be $80 for this hour of therapy. Thank you very much.
I couldn't I can't believe that I didn't realize this until now. That it really is well, isn't that what other jokes are? Simply lying? Oh boy.
If you're the New
How
Yorker talking
crazy.
about Hassan Minaj, yeah,
Hassan Minaj, who's
we
kidding.
we talked
Call
about
back
this.
from a
Yeah,
previous
yeah.
I just found out that a theater professor of mine died recently. Uh,
May his memory
and
be
when
a
I say
blessing.
recently, I mean 2 years ago. And then I found out that I'd already discussed it with a friend of mine a year ago
So in your
or
mind, he
so.
died twice.
He died twice. It felt like he died twice. It was a little crazy. Oh, hey, speaking about which, I found out about it because he used to teach Tai Chi at the place where I now take Tai Chi. I'm taking Tai Chi,
Yeah,
and it's great and fun. Uh,
we talked
a
about that
lot
last week too.
of. Oh, did I?
Yeah, because I mentioned that I
Wow.
was. You talked about taking Tai Chi. I mentioned that I was getting Pilates started again.
So for the people, we didn't mention it last week. We mentioned it 2 weeks ago. This is the second record of a
If you
two
want to
record
get
thing that
pedantic,
we did this
Paul.
week. Look, the show that we're recording now is the show that's about me talking to Edward. If you want to call in and talk about Edward, you're going to have to wait until next week, where our show
No!
is going to be.
Next week is when we're going to talk about how windmills give birds cancer. Don't call in until next week.
Oh, Ben, one of our favorite sketches. Oh,
The pre was Jay
I.
Johnston in that one. Is that one problematic now
Oh,
too?
geez, I don't know. I hope not. One of the things that did make you and I both frustrated was the sketch with the drummer when they did it live. You remember the sketch for the it was in Mr. Show.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
a sketch for the the drummer who only had one arm, and they were trying to explain to him that he was just a bad drummer, and he said because of the one arm. They're like, no, you have one arm, and also you're a bad drummer.
Right.
And then someone goes, wait, I think I can explain this. What they're saying is, you're not good at drumming. And they're like, yes, because you only have one arm. No! And they did it in Seattle. And they said, can anyone help explain? And all the people that were there to see Mr. Show didn't get the joke. And they didn't do the right thing, which is that you explain to him that they all they were saying was you're just bad at drumming, and then they'd
Yeah.
stop, and they didn't do the one arm part, and you and I were both like, oh, can't believe it. And I think by that time,
We sat way up in
uh,
the rafters because we don't have much money.
we both enjoyed. Although I think we were on the ground floor. We were just way far back,
No, I
and the
remember
reason I,
looking down on the projection screen with Paul F. Tompkins.
but but when I remember Brian Hussein walking past us at the very beginning. Like we saw him
Were we in
come
the
in
lobby?
when no, he came in through the back doors and said, "Shut up, lady," and other lady. Maybe were we looking down on him when he walked? I mean,
We
that could
had
be
to have
it.
been because my recollection of that entire show is from because it was at the Moore Theater and it's from not the upper balcony, which is where they used to make the people of color sit back in the terrible days, but in the middle balcony, the first balcony, not the ground floor. Because my memory of that show is looking down on the stage, not looking up at the stage.
Wow, did you and I sit together? We must
Yeah,
have.
of course we did.
Wow, that's so weird. Just goes to show you, Ben. Eyewitness testimony not reliable.
Not reliable for something that happened 20-some years ago.
And we did we had already gotten into our Paul F. Tompkins renaissance of, hey, this guy's really funny.
Yeah.
Because we were both bummed that he wasn't there.
Yeah, he had some pre-taped pieces. But we did meet Bob Odenkirk and David Cross and Brian Posehn and
Yeah.
a bunch of other people after the show.
And I'm going to ask you, Ben, because I can't remember. I should remember. Who was the guy who spent the most time talking to us? He's a member of Mr. Show's cast. He did a really great online bit recently.
When he found out that we did sketch comedy, he's like, "Hey, let's work together." And that man's name was Abraham Lincoln. No, John Ennis is who you're talking about.
John Ennis, who's hilarious and smart. I sure hope he hasn't killed anyone or done anything bad. And yeah, he gave us his email address. We never followed up with him.
For whatever reason. I have no idea
I really think that we were both kind of intimidated.
Probably. And probably like, we're not good enough for Mr. Show's John.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. If we work with him, he's just going to be disappointed in us.
And he's sitting at home going, I guess those guys don't think I'm cool. John Ennis, if you're hearing my voice, we enjoy you and your comedy, especially the Xerox thing. That was great.
Right.
My God, the Ditto Machine. I'm gonna watch that after this show, Ben.
He was in some episodes of Better Call Saul, surprisingly enough, a Bob Odenkirk-led vehicle. But his daughter, I don't remember her first name, but his daughter is also in some episodes of Mr. Show and is like a featured, like one of the stars of Mythic Quest on Apple TV.
Really? I had no idea. Yeah. Let's see. What was I gonna... There's something similar but different. I was going to say that, Children of Celebrities. I think we might have already talked about this. Kurt Russell's son,
Wyatt Russell,
was in a TV show that I really liked. Speaking of Paul F. Tompkins, called Lodge 49, and Paul F. Tompkins is in like one of the very end episodes of it.
Okay.
Paul Giamatti, Annex Theater alumnus, is also in it, and he's playing a great character in it.
Golden Globe Award winner. Paul Giamatti went viral recently because somebody caught him having burgers at In-N-Out in his tux with his Golden Globe Award.
Oh, nice. That's really good. Funny, man. You gotta stay good, Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti, great. You and I have seen at an Annex party a videotape of him and some other guy on stage doing one of the best brilliant things
Tweedledee, Tweedledum
ever.
Segment from I See London, I See France.
I believe so. No,
it's the Fatty Arbuckle Spook House Review.
Where one of them says to the other one, "Hey, look over there for a second."
Yeah. And then puts a funnel in his pants, pours water in his pants.
It's so good.
And there's like absolutely no reaction whatsoever.
Every time I think about it, it just makes me laugh. So one of the luckiest things, I think. Not a lot of people have seen that videotape, and we have. And it's really, really funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, Wyatt Russell plays Kurt Russell plays a younger Kurt Russell
man,
in Monarch. Now, I haven't seen a lot of Monarch, but I did see enough of it to go, that's pretty cool. and then I stopped watching it. But the other person I was going to say that is the son of someone, the boys.
Oh yeah, uh, Quaid. Dennis Quaid's kid plays Wee
Yeah,
Huey in The Boys.
and that was pretty cool. He's good. He's funny on Comedy Bang Bang. He plays characters and stuff,
Yeah,
which is cool. But the other thing that I forgot is that Wyatt Russell's mother is Goldie Hawn,
yeah. And
which is,
isn't isn't is it Meg Ryan who was Dennis Quaid's wife and the mother of, I can't remember his name. It's
oh
not
my
like
gosh.
John Quaid or yeah. Who when I first saw him,
Oh,
I'm like,
now I can't remember
this
either.
looks like this guy looks like the love child between Bill Hader and Michael Shannon.
Oh wow, that's true. It is true.
Speaking of The Boys, I currently picked up one of the omnibus editions of The Boys, and I was reading it last night.
Oh, how is it?
It's good. I mean, it's Garth Ennis. I like Garth Ennis.
Oh yeah. Wait, did Garth
It's
Ennis do
not for,
Preacher?
yeah, he did Preacher.
Yeah,
It's not for kids, not safe for work. You
yeah,
know, it's a very adult comic. But I'm enjoying it.
yeah. The
Also, like I really like
adaptation
the TV show.
is good
Yeah,
as far as that goes. So, two things. I wanted to say first of all, have I talked to you already about mind management? I'm sure I have.
Mind Management,
Yeah, it's a comic. It's collected in three omnibuses.
Omnibuy,
Um, one writer illustrator. Um, and I'm not going to say that person's name because
because I
I'm
can't
not going to be
remember.
able to do it justice right now. I'm not in the frame. We've already been recording for 1 hour and 18 minutes. My mental stores have been depleted. But Mind Management, it's called. I bought all three omnibuses, and then I was in a comic book store today. Actually, I wasn't in a comic book store. I was at Slackers, which I think I talked about a little bit already. Betty had three. Oh, it would have been in the previous episode. Betty had
Tune in last week when Paul Goody
a,
says,
a 3DS, and it broke, and so she was looking for another one.
yeah.
Um, and, oh yeah, did Jennifer ever text me back with the answer to that question? But so they went out looking for one. But when we were at Slackers, oh, they didn't have one. When we were at Slackers, they did have an Xbox S series. Now
S
we are a
series.
yeah, it's the digital version. So there's no
There's
disc drive
no,
to
yeah,
put.
okay.
So, but we are a
You're a,
Nintendo slash PlayStation household.
yeah.
But
None of that
Jennifer
Microsoft stuff.
made a joke and said, "Hey, if they happen to have an Xbox for $200, go ahead and get it. It isn't $200; it was $250.
Yeah.
But now we have one,
Oh, you did
so
get
we
it.
can play. Yeah, because Kojima, uh, the guy who does Death Stranding, those games, he's going to have a new horror game that comes out. My,
Horror game.
my understanding, and Jennifer is a big fan of his. So, or Kojima. Hmm. Uh, so we're going to get that, and also, but Bethesda's last game is it's a space game, and it's a Xbox exclusive. So we're
I
going to
was
have
just
that.
in a bookstore today. I bought a couple of books. I would have bought three, but they didn't have the other one I was looking for.
What
Um,
books did you get?
I bought Maria Bamford's "Sure, I'll Join Your Cult." Have you heard of this? Do you know who Maria
I
Bamford
it
is?
sounds. Oh, I know who Maria Bamford is. One of the reasons why I was able to get some help for my OCD stuff because she recommended the style of training that I do, or the the version of OCD therapy that I do, I believe.
A memoir of mental illness and the quest to belong anywhere. So I picked this up today. I'm looking forward to
Yep,
reading it.
very cool.
I also bought uh, Colson Whitehead's Underground Railroad,
Oh, I have that.
which is a historical fiction of an actual railroad that is underground. The book
I
that
haven't read it, but I have it.
the book that I was going to buy, that I wanted to buy if they had it, was another one of my favorite authors, Ben H. Winter, who wrote another historical fiction book about the South called Underground Airlines. So I was going to buy Underground Railroad and Underground Airlines, but they didn't have
That would have been
Underground
nice.
Airlines. But yeah, Colson Whitehead and Ben H. Winter would have been on the same shelf if they had any Ben H. Winter books at all. They had none, which I found surprising. I was wondering if I was
Huh.
actually even in the right section. This is Elliott Bay Bookstore, a very nice and lovely bookstore
Elliott
on Capitol
Bay,
Hill.
yes.
But they didn't have any Ben H. Winter books at all, so I'll have to
Has
find it
Elliott
somewhere
Bay
else.
always been on Capitol Hill, or did it
No, it was
move?
in Pioneer Square,
Yeah,
but then
that's
it
where I
moved up to Capitol
remember it being.
Hill many years ago.
They had my book Love in a Time of Zombies in their bookstore for a while.
Oh yeah, I would have
Yeah.
bought. I was thinking about picking up Scotto's book Wild Massive, but I
I don't
haven't
think I know
read.
that one.
He's got a couple books out, and man, they are so big. He writes a lot. They
Yeah.
are some
I have
dense
I have
tomes.
the Duel of the Linguistic Mages.
Battle of the Linguist Mages is the name of the book.
No, it's a second one from an alternate universe
Duel of the
that
Linguist
I.
Mages was the name of the play. Battle of the Linguist Mages is the name of the book.
Oh, okay. Is it based on the play, or is it a uh
From my understanding, Battle of the Linguist Mages is based on both Duel of the Linguist Mages and Interlace Falling Star.
okay? Very interesting, exciting about. I mean, and that's the thing, is that these were, when he put these plays out, they were concepts that we had heard him speak about before in, like, short stories, things like that. So you know uh Scott Moore, great visionary sci-fi stuff
Yeah,
that he
and
does.
just a super nice guy to boot. I bought my copy from Elliott Bay, Battle of the Linguist Mages, and it's an autographed copy. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
just, I bought an autographed where I could have just gone to his house and been like, "Hey, man, can you sign this for me?" Although that would have been,
Yeah.
that would have been kind of weird. I don't know. But yeah, I almost
Oh,
picked up
Ben,
Wild Massive, but it's
I think you would
again
have been. I think you would have
so
been
big.
happy to do it. But you said you almost did. But was there something that I thought you said? But I haven't read Blanker. Is it a
Oh, I didn't. I haven't
sequel
read
to
his first one.
something, or?
Yeah, well, no, it's not the. It's not a sequel. It's a different book entirely. But I don't know if you can see the bookshelves behind me. I'm starting to double layer books just because I'm running out of
Yeah,
room, and so I'm like, I need to cool it on the books first, until I'm able to offload some, because these are my only bookshelves because I have a very small apartment. So I need to donate some of these before picking up more.
my basement is not warm right now, but I am only 35 minutes until the end of this, and I've already not had any air on down here. So I'm going to continue so that I don't have to do room tone or anything like that, and just, get it to work. It should be fun and it should be fine.
Are you
But I
getting
just wanted to
cold? Is
let
that
you
what you're
know
saying?
that I'm starting to feel. Well, this is the thing. We've talked about this before. Um, and I don't know, it may be, the autism thing or something else, but I don't feel cold or hot the way that other people do, I think, because they'll be like, "Oh, I'm cold or I'm hot." For me, what it is, oh, I'm feeling. like, this part of my chest hurts a little bit, or this is happening, and then I realize, oh, what this is me being cold. My body is reacting to the fact that I'm cold. So I have to remind myself that, oh, this is what it is. It's probably cold in here. That's why I have this heater right next to me, so that if I realize that, oh, I'm feeling bad because this is happening, then I will go and do it. One of the reasons why I obsessively use the restroom before I go, which, by the way, I may start working on in my OCD therapy,
Not
why going to the bathroom right
obsessively
before,
right before like a movie or a play or something,
yep, movie, play,
or
leaving
going
the
on
house.
stage.
Yeah. Um, Part of the reason is because it will affect me mentally, but I won't necessarily know what the problem is. So if I've gone to the restroom, then I know I can say to myself, well, it's not the bathroom thing because I just went to the bathroom. And it's funny because some people are like, well, maybe it's a prostate thing or whatever. No, it's a mental thing.
I'm just weird.
It's not. Yeah, exactly. Betty obsessively looks at the dog's teeth,
Looks
and
at the dog's teeth, like
like
opens
she
up
does
his
this.
lips
What I'm
and
what I'm doing right now is what
playing
she does.
doggy dentist.
And we always tell her to stop, don't mess with the dog's teeth. And yet I do it as well.
Well, you're an
There's
adult. You
a
can do what you want.
there's a difference. Well, she's going to be Ben.
She's gonna be 18 in just a few weeks.
She's going to be 18
That's weird.
in a month and 3 days or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, which is crazy. Not the least of which, because Betty is short, very short.
Don't height
Jennifer is also
shame.
short. Edward is very small. Look, all I'm saying is I'm the biggest one in the house.
You're big now, very big now.
Yeah. Yeah, no one's big when they're lying in the dirt, someone would say, probably. Sorry. Kissing the side of the dog's face is fine.
He doesn't seem to mind. It's not like he's trying to
Yeah,
get away or anything.
exactly. The dog really doesn't try to get away, though. His spirit has been broken.
Exactly. It's if dogs had a name for the Stockholm syndrome, Edward has it.
This is his
Yeah.
behavior that I call meerkatting.
Little chicken.
He will do this sometimes.
Maybe
Not
maybe I'm
always.
bringing up something some horrible news that I just haven't heard. Do you still have the cat? Do you still have Abby?
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, this
Okay,
is an
good.
interesting thing.
Glad to hear that
So
Abby the cat is still around.
Abby is Abby had. Do you remember her one eye? Did she have the one eye?
I don't remember her
Uh,
being monocular.
so what it was she had gotten an injury to her eye, and her other eye went kind of opaque. So she was just this one-eyed cat.
Okay.
It has since healed,
Oh, really?
and she's got two eyes again. The one eye is a little hazy, like a tiny bit hazy, but not a
Yeah.
lot. Oh,
Oh,
one of my favorite tweets, by the way, Ben. Remember tweets? Remember when they were tweets and they were fine and everything was good and we liked
everything
each
was
other?
good. Everything was great.
Everybody
No, I
in
don't
the on
remember
the
people liking each other, but I remember when they were called tweets.
Yeah, the people liked each other on the thing for a while.
Are you
But
sure?
there was, yeah, there was a thing where a guy said, "Hey man, I'm not taking you to the party. All you do is get drunk and rap about Patrick Swayze." Nah, man, I'm good. Swear. And then in parentheses, 2 beers in. Uh-oh, y'all, it's getting kind of hazy, which I thought was great. That is just enough. It's a
Yeah.
the good tweets were like poetry, Ben. Back when they had the very small character limit, you had to really think about how you were posting stuff.
140.
It
Now I
was
think if you
just
go over, you can just click a show more little button and it goes and it expands past the microblogging minimum. or
Yep,
sorry,
no
maximum.
images, just text. It was a great medium. I loved it so much. But no
You
more.
had to give it up. You gave it
No
up,
more, I say.
much like many things in your life. You gave it up for the
Yep.
betterment of your
I,
mental health,
yeah.
presumably.
It really does. Yeah. I mean, that is a big part of it. I don't know about this thing, man. If I were to get um like I'm in this situation now where I've got too many podcasts, so I'm just not listening to any. I'm listening to things that I have Patreons for.
Right, because you want to
But
get what you pay for.
exactly. But
I don't listen to
other
any
than that,
podcasts.
actually, I'm still listening to Comedy Bang Bang and Hollywood Handbook, kind of. But like Hello from the Magic Tavern, which my friend is in, by the way,
Your
and
friend. Who's your friend?
I like him. Matt Young, he does Usador the Wizard.
I've never
Um,
listened to the show, so I don't know who that
it's
is.
one of the main characters. And it's not that I don't want to listen to it. It's just that I fell off of it, and it's one of those that builds on itself. So you can't just tune in. You have to kind of listen to the stuff that you've missed.
You
And
gotta
I'm now like
commit that time,
four
man.
I'm 400 episodes behind.
Oh my
There's no
god,
way for me
400
to get
episodes.
there. Yeah. Same thing with the neighborhood listen, a Paula Tompkins thing
I
that
think I used to have a job where I would have to drive many places. This is when I was a school photographer, and I would spend probably at the minimum 3 hours a day in my car because I often
Yep.
had to go over to the peninsula or go down to Puyallup, and I got through a lot of podcasts. If I had one of those jobs today, well, I wouldn't, but if I did, I'd probably start catching up on my podcast. I'd probably listen to more things. But as it is now, I just don't have the. I don't have a job where I can listen to podcasts during the day.
Yeah, I think about public transportation a lot and how I miss being able to read on public transportation. That was one of
Now they
my,
don't let you read anymore.
no, but the thing that I do remember is having to share space with other people. It's easy to forget.
Remember when somebody could just sit right next to you on the bus? They
That
can
that
still
still
do that.
happens, right?
I've been,
Yeah.
yes, that does happen. And nobody's masked anymore. I was like I said, I was in the bookstore today, and I felt like I saw one other person wearing a mask.
Oh shoot, Ben. I mean, I haven't worn a mask in a year,
Have
probably.
you not heard the calls of the new COVID? It's just like the J variant or something. I mean, I hear all these
I
stories about how it's coming back, how we got 1,500 people are still dying a day from COVID related illnesses.
it's not that
I
it's not
live in
that
a
I
big
wouldn't.
city. I'm sure a lot of people are vaccinated, but I'm still like when I go into the stores now, when I go in onto the train, say I'm putting my mask back on.
I mean, you're vaccinated, right?
Yes,
And
many
I'm
many times
vaccinated.
over.
But the thing that I didn't think about. I mean, I honestly I see some people wearing masks every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like in the Tai Chi class I'm at, there are three people who wear them. But that's really
It's also like
it. In the grocery stores and all that,
you're not on social
they're
media anymore, so you're not seeing like it was like the week after Christmas. It was either the week of or the week after Christmas. It felt like there was at least 3 posts a day that I would see on my feed of people posting the positive COVID tests.
uh-oh.
It's also like it was just it was just like the winter holiday season, so a lot of people just got done being in like at Christmas parties or with families inside.
Yep.
Nobody's masked. I did the same freaking thing with my family. Yeah, so it's just I I and I'm guilty of this. We're getting a little complacent again. It's about like going back to what we felt normal should be, but it's still around. COVID is still a thing. It's like it's endemic at this point, and so it's not a
What does
question of.
endemic mean?
It's going to be with us. It's like the flu or the common cold.
Yeah.
It's just going to be with us. We can't get rid of it. They're saying it's no longer a pandemic because the governments are like, well, open everything back up. We're not gonna give you free tests or vaccines anymore. You got to pay for that crap now. Yeah, it's COVID is still here. It hasn't gone away. We're not in a post-COVID world. We're just in a post we don't really care anymore about
Yeah.
COVID world.
So
Rant
yeah.
over.
But yeah, I mean, this is the big thing is I'm getting all of my vaccines these days.
Yeah.
That's the thing that COVID did. I mean, it got me to get the flu vaccine.
I'm saying I never got the flu vaccine until I started getting the COVID vaccine because I'm like,
Yep.
I never got the flu, so why get the flu vaccine?
Oh, I was the exact opposite. I'm like, every time that I get the flu vaccine, I get sick. So, and here's the thing,
Sort of the point, I
right?
guess.
I'm very much I should that I was saying what I said at the time, right? Now I know from, again, this is what COVID has done. Every time I got the flu shot, I would have an immune response.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get the flu, but I would have an immune response. I would get a fever, I would get aches, I'd feel bad. And so I was like, well, why am I getting this shot if I'm going to feel like this anyway? That was my mentality. Of
Yeah.
course, now I know that you get vaccines not just for yourself, but for, babies and old people and stuff like that, so that you
Yeah.
don't get them sick.
It is a very selfless act.
Yeah.
I never got the flu shot, not because I was anti-vax, but like I said, my mentality was, well, I never get the flu, so why bother going to get the flu shot? And I remember one time when I know I had the flu, I felt like crap for one day, and then I felt okay, not great for like a week. And so that told me, well, if you get the flu, it's not that bad. Not even like considering I was, a relatively healthy person in my mid to late 20s at the time, you know. So I didn't consider any factors other than I don't feel so bad for so long. If I get the flu, I'll deal with it and it won't be a big thing.
I saw an autistic comedian who was talking about autism speaks and stuff like that, saying, the idea that you can be cured of autism, I hate it. However, I kind of almost wish that you could, but it was a vaccine, so that the people who wanted to be cured wouldn't give it to their kids, which was funny. That's something that I've fallen into, Ben, is the stand-up comedy subreddit. I like
Yeah,
stand-up
I
comedy.
haven't been
I
there.
still enjoy it.
Speaking of stand-up comedy and AI, this is Paul gonna guess the news.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to know this answer. I don't think.
What
Go ahead.
just dropped thanks to AI?
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I'm feeling bad. I'm thinking about what the worst thing possible is, and I'm going to say it's a
What?
new George Carlin rant.
You are exactly correct.
Are you freaking kidding me?
It is a true thing. I may get this wrong, but I
Oh
believe it is called
no.
"Thank God I'm Dead."
Oh God.
I
I'm going
don't
to have to
know.
look at it.
I haven't looked into it at all. I know it's a thing, and I know Carlin's kids are pretty upset. As well they should be. So I don't know if they also use a voice synthesizer to mimic Carlin's delivery, or
I
if it's
think they
just
probably
like
did.
words or whatnot.
And if
But
they
yeah,
didn't do that, it's too bad, because here's the thing I will
if they
say.
didn't, somebody's
You
gonna
know
do it
how
eventually.
you know how British people sound smarter than American people often? Like, my wife was talking about this. You could say the dumbest thing, but if you have a British accent, it's going to sound like you're actually very wise
Sure.
sometimes to Americans. Um, so I do not question answers that AI gives me if the voice of the AI assistant is a good voice. If they sound like an actual person, I give it a lot more credence. There are times where you're familiar with hallucinations that AI does, right? That will happen with AI, right?
Hallucinations that will happen with AI. I'm familiar,
Yeah.
but let me hear your
Uh,
explanation of it, just so I know
okay.
you know what it
Pretend
is.
pretend for just a second, Ben, that I'm an AI. Ask me a question of something that you would like me to research.
Paul, what was the cause of the War of 1812?
The cause of the War of 1812 actually happened in 1812 when Thermistor Bungledish decided to destroy all of the calendars for 1812, and therefore no one knew what the year was.
Very well.
9 times out of 10, you would get an actual answer about the War of 1812, but sometimes, I don't know about the combination of words or how it is or whatever, they will just make up a historical fact
Yeah.
that doesn't actually exist. I had a situation where I asked a question about a fictional property, and it just made up a storyline that I knew for a fact didn't exist
I mean,
in that fictional property.
there's a
But it
bunch.
read like it was real.
Yeah, but I mean, in ChatGPT at least, I know there's a disclaimer saying, "Look, this isn't perfect. You might get incorrect answers
Yep.
if you're looking for something."
And they have to put that in there. This is
Yeah.
why, again, I say I've said this before, but I will say it again. The idea that we will be replaced by AI isn't great. Symbiotic, job share with AI, where I have an AI write something and then I read it to make sure that it's correct.
I'm
You
working on a
know,
documentary now, and I wish I had an AI to put together the rough cut. Then I can just go back and finesse it,
exactly, and you
or I
will
could
be
hire
able to
somebody
have
to
that.
do that.
Yeah,
I
I mean, Jennifer
yeah,
Jennifer wants somebody to edit her audiobooks, right?
yeah,
She would like to just narrate them,
yeah.
and that's something that will. And the thing is that this spell check, for instance, right? I know that someone somewhere, probably at one point in time, said, I'm a proofreader. Spell check is going to take my job away from me."
Yeah.
And it's not exactly true. It does take your job away from you, like dumb people. And I hate saying that because I use spell check and I use proofreading and all that. But what I mean is people who are like putting out a book, like an actual book, and they do is spell check it. It does not work out for them.
Right.
And I know because I did it. I put out a book that all I did was spell check. It did not work out as well as it should have. I think we talked about this. I took Mario and the Magicians down. Yeah, copies are still out there. People can still read it.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not exactly thrilled with my choice that I made at the time that I wrote it. I still like it. I still think it's a good book. But we talked about this that
Yeah.
you know
You're
having
regretting making the lead character a person of color.
well, and it's not. Yes, I regret thinking that, well, I'll make my lead character a person of color because there aren't enough books with a
Right.
person of color as the main character. Um, Not acknowledging or understanding the fact that the secret to that is not to have white male authors, telling more stories
Cis
with
white male
uh,
authors. Yeah.
cis white male
From the
authors
perspective
uh,
of
from
yeah.
the perspective of a young teenage girl of African heritage. But it's okay because they're in a fantasy world, and she's never been, exposed to that. What are we doing at that point? I understand
What are we doing?
that it was a bad choice on my part. I thought at the time it's hard talking about this stuff because now that I know what I know that I was wrong, and I don't want to be that guy, but I was that guy. So
But
It was
I mean,
difficult.
you were able to identify it, and you took steps
Was
to.
I able to identify it, or did someone else point it
Ev-
out to me, and then I listened to them and was like, "Oh, okay."
oh, is that
You
something
know,
Betty said
that's
to you as well?
well, no, it wasn't Betty. I mean, several people have brought it up to me. The thing that really was the end, and I think you can hear it on this podcast,
Yeah,
was I was like, "Hey,
Jennifer's gonna
Jennifer,
do the audiobook. Yeah.
do you want to do this?" And she was like, Paul, I don't know if I would be comfortable doing that. I'm like, "What do you mean?" And then so so I already kind of knew in the back of my head. We're talking recently. I came to the realization that not just in other properties that other people write, but the thing that I wrote too. Yes, the thing that I wrote too, obviously. So anyway, that's like I said. I like what I wrote, but I don't think that my motivations were correct. Here's the big thing: is that the idea of sensitivity readers, right?
Yeah.
You have a sensitivity reader read your thing. Um, when I heard about them, when I learned about them, I'm like, oh, I wish I would have had one of those when I was writing Mara and the Magicians. Oh well, um, because they weren't around at that time. Well, does that not necessarily mean that I should have, you know, either the presence of mind to do a new version of it or just to take
Well,
it down? Not really interested in doing a new version of it, so taking it down made
this
the
is
most
this is
sense.
this is why in big publication houses they do have editors. It's
Well,
that's the
editors and they have sensitivity readers now
yeah.
too,
I was
which
actually
is
speaking of
smart.
Scotto. Cole and I were talking to him on a podcast we used to have, and he talked about how he had one of those. I don't know if he called it a sensitivity reader, but somebody who's basically his job was to do that, was to go through and look for problematic areas. And he
Yeah.
said that one of the things that he kept getting flagged on was ableist language, which he'd never wouldn't even think of to start. But
Yep.
when somebody points it out, he's like, "Oh yeah, that language I'm using is very ableist," and it is throughout the entire book. So
Yep.
it's that one of those things where you may be thinking about the story, the structure, the characters. You're probably not thinking about how you're telling that story. But that's just another layer. That's why it's good to have a different pair of eyes on
Yep. And also, I mean, this is what I'll say. Also, a good reason for me to have a different profession entirely.
it.
At one point in time, I mean, this is one of those things of like, at one point in time, I was interested in being a professional dungeon master when I was a kid. That was kind of what I wanted to do
Yeah.
and do that thing. But the thing is that right now, the way that you do that is like, through actual plays or through charging money for people to run your game. And I know for a fact, I just had a conversation with one of the people at my table recently. He doesn't like, and I'm kind of getting, there's some people who are like, well, it's my story. I can tell how I want to. The thing that he doesn't like, it doesn't have anything to do with like, representation or anything like that. He doesn't like the fact that I'm in what we would call crazy town, meaning the storyline isn't grounded, right? There's a lot of time travel, and there's a lot of, well, you were in this reality, now you're in this reality, and a
Yeah.
lot of memory wiping and things like that. And this is the thing. Even though he's not saying this, it's a consent thing, right? I say, well, your memory was wiped, and you don't remember this happening, right? For some people, having the agency of their character removed, where they don't get a choice as to whether or not they knew something happened, is a problem. And we had a session zero, but that was never brought up as one of the things that this guy didn't like. But now that I know that he doesn't like it, I know that, I violated that a couple of times.
Yeah. And I mean, and you just said something that is an illustration of just incidental ableist language just in casual conversation. Saying something is crazy town, calling something insane. All of that is
Yep.
ableist language. And so
Exactly.
that's also
And
something
only a
that,
dummy would use ableist language.
only
in that
that's something that
respect.
I'm trying to like remove from my vocabulary, but I hear myself,
Yeah,
you
a
know,
lot of people are deaf to the
messing up a
stuff
bit.
that happens in that occasion, or blind to the ramifications of it.
Paul Goody.
I'm not happy. In fact, I find the whole thing depressing. Yeah, I can't stop. It's my OCD, Ben, and I'm not saying that as part of ableist language. I'm saying that as an actual diagnosis. Once I hit upon, oh, this is how, I'll just make it worse.
I'll just make it funny by pointing out how by taking it to absurd extremes.
Yes, absurd. I think that's fine, but I'm sure.
I think absurd
Yeah,
is
I mean,
okay.
and this is the thing is that you can't say anything anymore, Ben. Yeah, you specifically can't. You can't say it. Ben's gesturing to himself, and yeah, but no, that the whole. Oh no, this is not good. This is not good, Ben. But it's true.
What's not
The
good?
next time, the next time someone says, oh, "You can't say anything anymore," I'm gonna say that is also ableist language against people who don't have the ability to speak, which is true. It is actually. I was like, is that possibly offensive? And I'm like, yes, it was. I knew a woman, Marion Bertles. She was not able to speak, but she could sing after a stroke.
Interesting. There's
Very, very strange.
famous country singer. His name is Mel Tillis. He had a severe stutter, but not when he sung.
Yep. Um, and this is one of the pieces of ableist language that I have successfully taken out of my vocabulary is "did I stutter," which I didn't say already. I really didn't say it unless I was playing a character. And when I say playing a character, I mean, when you talk to me and I'm like, well, I guess we're gonna have to do this.
Right.
That kind of like I will go into some sort of a character. The "did
A
I stutter"
characterization for comedic effect.
could have come out of the voice of that guy, but for people who have a stutter, that is, they're like, examine that phrase, "did I stutter?"
Yeah.
Why would someone stuttering when they said something mean that thing that they're saying is not to be believed or trusted or accepted, right? Because that's the way that you use it. You say, well, you can't do that, and then the person says, what do you mean I can't do that? And then they say, did I stutter?
Yeah.
Why would them stuttering mean that you shouldn't listen to what they've asked you to do? And it's true. It's true.
I blame the Breakfast Club
Yes.
for putting that into my vocabulary.
That guy.
Judd Hirsch.
I don't
No, not Judd
remember.
Hirsch. Uh, what was that guy's name? Judd Hirsch was from Taxi. This guy,
Yeah.
and it's not Judd Apatow, but he's a Judd of some sort.
Oh, you're talking about Judd Nelson?
Judd Nelson. There you go.
Yeah.
He's the one.
I'm
in Breakfast
sorry.
Club
When
who
I
said,
said that guy, I was thinking about the guy who put them in detention, who said, "You mess with the bull, you get the horns."
"You mess with the
Uh,
bull, you get the horns."
yeah, that
That
guy.
guy
Uh,
from he's also in Die
he's one
Hard.
of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll speak about one of those guys. Have you been watching Fargo?
I have not
Are you caught
seen
up?
this week's episode, but I am caught up except for what dropped yesterday.
I don't think that this is a spoiler. In fact, I'll talk about the earlier episodes of Fargo. I'll just talk about the earlier episodes of Fargo.
Okay.
Spoilers for the earlier episodes of Fargo season
5.
5. The Sin Eater guy,
Yeah, like
right? I was thinking
baddie for hire is
about,
who you're talking
yeah,
about.
I was thinking about how in uh, in Fargo, the TV series, the people who write it seem to take joy, as well they should, seem to take joy in um, the melding of elements of Fargo and other Coen Brothers properties
Yeah.
into their
There were a
show.
lot of
It really
like
is
almost one-to-one callbacks in season 5 to the movie.
really a love letter to that. So here's the thing that I think. Um, that guy, the guy for hire,
Yeah.
I think that he is an amalgamation of Peter Stormare's character from Fargo.
Who was
And
one of the guys with Steve Buscemi who kidnapped
yep,
the wife? Yeah.
and Javier Bardem's
Javier Bardem.
Javier Bardem's character from No Country for Old Men.
Yeah. Chigger.
Yes, very much
Anton Chigger.
a a menacing thing, and
Cold,
also
calculating menace.
wiseness.
Yeah. She is a tiger.
Philosophy coming out as a threat, basically.
I'm digging it. It's very rare to see John Hamm in such a villainous role, so that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are talking about like John Hamm and Juno Temple's character, but Joe Keery, who is from Stranger Things, who plays John Hamm's son.
Yeah, Gator.
He is. I'm really enjoying him in this TV show.
Joe Keery, one of those things, not afraid to look bad. We've talked about this before, and this is a great thing to end on because we're almost done. But you and I have talked about how, we both have had actor training. One of the things that we've talked about that distinguishes good acting from mediocre acting. You could be a good-looking mediocre actor. Not saying that we are either. Just saying that you could be a good-looking mediocre actor.
Yeah.
And people, serviceable. Fine. This person is in this role.
Lots of good-looking mediocre actors in the industry.
But actors who are either not allowed to or won't allow themselves to seem like they're a bad person. Seem like they have flaws. Seem like they, are unlikable. Are rare at a certain level. And when you can get to the, even high caliber, like if The Rock ever did something where not only is he a bad guy, but he's like unlikable.
Yeah, a lot of likable bad guys out there. Not a lot of. I mean, I sort of get the reasoning for that. Look at how the fan base reacts to unlikable characters. Like Anna Gunn got such backlash for Skylar White in Breaking Bad.
Yep.
The guy who played in Game of Thrones, the guy who played what's his face? The boy king who everybody hated.
Oh yeah.
Can't remember his name. But he like
I'm not gonna say.
He talked about how like the actor, I saw a couple of interviews with him. He seems like a very good, like chill, nice dude. But he talked about how like he can't get work because everybody just thinks of him as this character because he did it so well.
Yeah. And that's one of those. Joffrey, by the way.
Joffrey, yes, thank you.
Baratheon. So yeah, it's really kind of rare. But it's nice to see. And so yeah, I thought his turn is get. I'm hoping we see more things from that kid. And he gets a chance
from
to
Stranger Things.
Yeah, I mean, even in Stranger Things, he got to go from being Steve the jerk to being
he had a good
nice
arc.
Guy.
Yeah, he
in
definitely
fact,
had that arc.
To the point where when he was playing Gator, I'm like, wow, this guy's pretty
pretty mean. Forgetting that his character in Stranger Things, season 1 is also that way.
Jerkwad.
Exactly. But yeah, you and I can talk more about it later.
Next week.
After you've seen it. Yeah, next week.
Yeah.
And hey, not next week.
Not next week on the show, not next week in real time.
Okay, wait, we're doing a 2 for now. Are we doing a 2 for next?
No.
Oh, I see what I mean.
We're off
okay,
next week.
So the show that we're recording now
will drop
is
on
going to
the
be
22nd. But
and
we're
we will
still
have
gonna
another show a week later.
So we'll
a week later.
We'll record on the 25th.
Yes.
So we're not gonna. Today is the 11th. We're not gonna record on the 18th, but we are gonna record on the 25th. And if you call in next week, keep that audio because I will put it on the show.
Okay. All right, Ben.
Paul Goody.
Keep it wrong.